What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we're returning to Mobile Suit Gundam, Advance of Zeta, Flag of Titans. Last time Elliot had his first day in court, Conrad went to the moon to find intel regarding the former Titans test team members. He found someone at the bar that will take him to his next lead. This time, Conrad will talk to Audrey April on the moon. Also, the Titans test team almost dies, and Wes Murphy pilots an Ashimar variant. So let's get into this. Universal Century 0088. Conrad links up with Joanna and the two head to Hendrix Ness's place, the man who claimed to work on the Gundam. His room smelled of cigarettes, alcohol, and sweat. They wonder if the Gundam had anything to do with the Mark II. He tells them that the Hazel is just a gem quail with a Gundam head and has nothing to do with the development of the Mark II. He wonders if he knows of Elliot Hunter. Hendrix says that he was a good boy. Conrad tells him that he is being court-martialed and that he is Jag. He tells him about the destroyed mobile suit, which is one of the charges brought up against Elliot, but he needs to know the why. It seems to be clear that this is the Federation hiding the fact that they allowed the Titans to control them. The Titans test team is an example of the Titans spending going out of control, and the Federation not being able to reel it in. In order to bury their embarrassment of letting the Titans run all over them, they need to hide the money trail, and that means burying the Titans test team mobile suits. The fact that it is a Gundam and the media putting so much attention on it is already enough reason to throw Elliot under the bus. Hendrix says that the majority of people fell with the Aswan, and only a few got away in lifeboats. Conrad wonders if he knows where Murphy is right now. He doesn't know and can't think of anyone who would know. He then asks about Carl Matsubara and Audrey April. He becomes nostalgic and says that the two were a great part of the crew. Hendrix says that he has heard rumors of the two living somewhere on the moon, but he stops being helpful and his attitude changes once again. Conrad is tired of these games and says that if he doesn't hurry, Elliot will be executed. If he doesn't speak to Murphy, Carl, or Audrey, Elliot's life is over. He grows silent. Conrad asks if he is forbidden to speak of this. More silence. Conrad is tired of this, so he tells him that he goes to the bar every day and gets drunk and talks about the Gundam. That alone is enough to throw him in prison. He suggests that he stop feeling sorry for himself by shutting off the world and start acting by helping with this case. He thinks it over for a moment before telling Conrad that at the lower levels of Von Braun, he will find a man called King George. He will have the answer he is looking for. He goes to the lower levels where he finds King George at a sleazy pub after work. Conrad, with Joanna, asks about Carl and Audrey. He tells him about Elliot's case. King George says that he knows nothing other than what he has seen in the records, but he suggests that they ask that woman. He points to someone across the bar. It happens to be Audrey April. August, UC 0085. Elliot goes up against a Gelgoog. It seems like it is trying to toy with him. He hears Murphy in his ears saying it is a trap. Murphy is caught in a thin wire that completely traps him. Elliot comes to set him free, but Murphy tells him not to touch it. There seems to be a current running through it. Murphy is insulated inside the cockpit, but the joints are most likely shot. Elliot spots a third mobile suit. It is a Zaku. He shoots at the Zaku, but the Gelgoog comes in on his right side. He evades only to be met with the Rick Dom. He is outnumbered. Murphy tells him to pull back without him, but he doesn't listen. His rifle quickly depletes, and his armor is slowly falling apart on his Jim Kai. That is when Carl comes in with the Hyzak against Murphy's orders. He helps momentarily, but they are still outnumbered. Elliot takes the tattered Jim Kai and shields the Hazel. Pete Shelton is preparing Hazel 2, and Audrey gets into the mobile suit ready to launch. Pete tells her that it is only powered to 70%, but she thinks that is enough. On the PA system is Hendrix Ness telling her to take an extra energy pack with her. She gets on the catapult and launches. Elliot's beam rifle is finally out. He doesn't have any extra E-packs. Carl continues fighting with the Rick Dom. It becomes quiet and Elliot wonders if he is dead. The enemy stops their attack. Suddenly, Audrey comes on the radio asking if they are alive. The Zeon units begin panicking at the sight of another Gundam. Hazel 2 approaches Elliot. He gives him an E-pack and reloads it for him as he is missing one of his arms. Elliot begins firing at the Gelgoog. The enemy is now outnumbered and out of ammo. They pull back. Audrey chases for a little bit before Murphy pulls her back, telling her that their mission is over. The Hazel, Jim Kai, and Hyzak are pieces of scrap barely hanging in there. They head back to the Aswan. Commander Otto Peterson is looking at the destroyed mobile suits with the Titans test team standing at attention. They believe they are about to be chewed out for damaging the mobile suits. Otto asks Hendrix Ness if they are fixable. He says that he will make it happen. For the meantime, Elliot will use Hazel 2 and Murphy will use the Kehaar. He doesn't end up chastising them. However, Murphy asks Elliot why he disobeyed his command. He says that he couldn't leave his commander, but he tells him that sometimes it is necessary and to obey commands next time. Elliot still isn't sure if that is the right move, but he obeys his commander anyways. UC 0088. Conrad approaches Audrey and asks her about Elliot. She claims to not know who she is. She tells him about his court-martial, but she insists that she doesn't know who he is. He then asks about Carl and Murphy, but gets nothing from her. She isn't going to budge. It is clear that she knows something about Elliot, but refuses to speak up. He takes a different approach and leaves. Everyone looks at him and Joanna as they leave the bar. They decide to find a hotel in the lower levels near the train station. They will turn in for the day. Conrad is actually in pain from his leg and is struggling, but he hides it well. As he dozes off, he hears a noise. It is a knock at the door. He asks, who is it? It happens to be Audrey. As he lets her in, Joanna comes out, gun cocked and ready to go. But once she realizes that it is Audrey, they all head into Conrad's room. She says that they are under surveillance, which is why she said nothing. Conrad realizes how careless he was. Luckily, the people that are tailing her are low-level intelligence agents that are aboard by this mission. She is willing to help Conrad as much as possible. She wasn't there when it all went down, but their unit withdrew from the battle. Elliot's gas plant was severely damaged, and Murphy was injured. Their flagship, the Asmir, sank soon after retreating. Her statement matches with what is on record. Since Murphy was injured, Elliot was ordered to sortie in the Gundam. Since Audrey wasn't present, she can't really help with the charges of destroying a Gundam and desertion during the Colony laser, but she can help with the other charges. She wasn't aware of the Colony 30 incident as it was happening, and it seems to affect her even now. She wasn't aware that they were transporting G3 gas. However, they weren't the ones who unleashed it onto the Colony, and they only supported the rear. She mentions being attacked by the enemy. Audrey vaguely remembers spotting a Zaku 2FZ and a Rickdom, a part of the Zeon Remnants group. She also mentions that Otto Peterson wasn't even aware of what was going on under his command. Her testimony will be very helpful, but they need proof. Audrey says that the Aswan was at Konpei Island, which would prove they were always in the rear and nowhere near Colony 30. He could work with this. August, UC 0085. While the mechanics work non-stop to get the mobile suits up and running again, the test pilots are actually able to get some rest for the first time in a while. Audrey helps out the mechanics. Even though she isn't one, she is always working with them. They're leaving Konpei Island and testing out the new Ashimar Kehaar, specifically the space type. The NRX 044R prototype Ashimar TR-3 Kehaar space type is a variant of the original Ashimar. The transformation system is incredibly complex, so EFF creates this space variant to get things right under 0G. After they work out all the kinks, they will then test it in Earth's atmosphere. In this case, that will be the prototype Kehaar. Thermonuclear engines are on each leg, and it gives the unit enormous amounts of thrust. The skirt is fitted with additional thrusters for attitude control. Weapons include a spread beam gun used by the Dom, a beam rifle, and beam emitters. Elliot and Carl are hanging out in the rec room while they head out to the testing location. Carl was being more vulnerable than usual as he talks about how he was scared on the previous mission. He too was also scared, but once he went into action, Elliot felt something else that wasn't fear. Carl thinks that perhaps he is a new type. Murphy comes in and tells them to go on standby. Eventually, Elliot launches in the Hazel 2. Elliot's conversation with Carl makes him feel like he is finally not only a part of the team, but something even greater. Carl's Gem Sniper 3 is also hanging on the Kehaar. Elliot grabs onto the TR-3 and they head out. The Ashimar transforms and Elliot and Carl begin attacking the prototype. Even its transformation is swift. Murphy tells him that if you don't tame the Hazel, it will be your downfall. Elliot uses his high mobility backpack to pick up speed. It isn't a matter of learning the ropes with the Hazel. He still has a lot of catching up to do with the Titans test team. And that will do it for this episode. Conrad is finally getting useful information as he speaks to someone that was actually on the Aswan. Also in the past, we finally get a look at the TR-3. Personally, I think this unit is the tipping point. It is the perfect balance of form and function with the budget to back it up. But after this, we are going to start seeing mobile suits that look out of this world, literally. Even in this episode, Conrad notes that the Titans' budget was out of hand, and the mobile suits' complexities prove this. Next time, we will return to the Zanzibar and Zola's team as he weighs the options on what remnant group to join. Conrad will gather as much intel before heading back to Earth, but someone tries to stop him. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, be sure there is no one telling you when gathering intel at a bar. Peace.